The idea that the average person, people with families, people who just want a stable home, is somehow to blame for not taking on massive debt and risking their financial future in an overheated market is a bit rich. Toronto's condo market is flooded. Over 6,000 units for sale right now, and yet these aren't exactly options for the average buyer. We keep hearing that it's a supply crisis, but that's only half the story. What we're really facing is an affordability crisis fueled by a market that was never designed with end users in mind. Developers built these units to cater to investors, not families. And now, as those same developers and analysts scold regular people for not taking risks, I have to ask, who's really benefiting here? In this video, we're going to break down why the so-called risks developers talk about are hitting everyone but them, why regular people are caught in the crossfire, and what needs to change if we're ever going to fix this mess. So, if you're tired of being told that you're just not playing the game right, stick around because we're pulling back the curtain on what's really going on behind the scenes. All right, so let's set the stage. Right now, there's well over 6,000 condos that are for sale on the market on MLS in Toronto, with more than half of these in hyperdense areas like downtown, Liberty Village, City Place, but a ton of them are under 800 square feet. These aren't spaces for families or anyone looking to settle down. They're more suited to single professionals or couples with zero plans for having kids. Now, the thing is, these aren't the homes people are looking for long term. They might be okay for a short stay, but they don't solve bigger issues. This is what we're getting. Small units in high-rise towers that cater more to investors than actual families who want to put roots down in the city. Now let's talk affordability. Let's say you're an individual making $70,000 a year. If you manage to build up a solid down payment, let's say around $50,000 to $55,000, you'd be able to afford a place priced around just under $500,000. But here's the problem. There isn't much on the market at that price point, and what you can find isn't what most people would consider a home. It's likely a micro condo, barely enough space for you and a couple of plants. Now let's take a more optimistic scenario. Let's say you're a couple and making a combined $140,000 a year, and after years of saving and budgeting, you've managed to put together $100,000 for a down payment. This bumps your affordability up to around $985,000, which is a solid budget, except here's the kicker. Even with that, finding a condo larger than 1,000 square feet starts to get really tough. For that budget, you might be able to squeeze into a 2-bedroom condo downtown, but it's very likely going to be under 1,000 square feet, which can feel tight if you're planning to grow a large family, think more than one kid. So yeah, $985,000 sounds like it should buy you a lot, but in reality, it's barely enough to get you into a family-sized space in this market right downtown. However, you are watching Under the Radar Real Estate, and here's where things get interesting. While most people assume that Toronto is out of reach, there are actually neighborhoods where you can find family-sized condos and even houses under $1 million. If you're looking for more space without breaking the bank, there's a few videos on the channel covering some of these under-the-radar neighborhoods. Or better yet, after you've watched those videos, if you're serious about finding these hidden gems, reach out to me. I can send you a customized list of homes priced under $1 million in these under-the-radar neighborhoods. Now, you'd think the industry would be looking to fill this gap, right? Here's the thing, the supply we're building isn't designed to solve this problem. It's designed strictly for profit. And that brings us to the heart of this crisis. Industry voices, like the one you can see on screen right now, like to throw around the idea that end users aren't risk takers, that they should have seen what investors saw and taken the plunge on pre-construction condos. But here's my question. Are those so-called risks really paying off? Because what I'm seeing is a lot of units sitting empty, price growth stagnating, and investors scrambling to offload properties. This isn't about risk-taking, it's about developers offloading their own risk onto a bunch of would-be investors who thought they were signing up for guaranteed returns. It's almost like we've got it backwards. Some developers scold end users for not buying in, but they built a system that caters to investors while squeezing out regular people who just want a place to live, not an asset to flip. And now that things are stalling, end users are somehow to blame for not being sophisticated enough to play the game. Look, I'm not saying developers should take on all of the risk, but the idea that the average person, people with families, people who just want a stable home, is somehow to blame for not taking on massive debt and risking their financial future in an overheating market is a bit rich. If developers want to keep pointing fingers, maybe they need to look at how their own entitlement and unwillingness to adapt is hurting the industry's reputation. Here's where I'm coming from. I have skin in the game. I live here, I work here, I bought pre-construction, and I care about what happens to this city. I get it. Real estate is a business, and everyone wants to make a profit, but if the industry keeps blaming regular people for not buying into a system that was never designed for them in the first place, how are we ever supposed to change public opinion? How are developers supposed to earn back the trust that this attitude erodes? The sense of entitlement is what's hurting the industry. And if developers keep passing off their own risk and pointing the finger at people with no skin in the game, they're missing the bigger picture. We're not just talking about condos or investors. We're talking about the future of our city. So yeah, more supply could definitely help, but not when it's built with this mindset. We need a shift in how we think about risk, responsibility, and who this market is really for. All right, let's take a step back. We've talked about where the market is and how we got here. Now, let's focus on where we can go from here. If we want to create a sustainable, livable city, we need to start thinking about solutions that prioritize people over profits. So what does that look like? The path forward isn't going to be easy, but here's what needs to happen. We've got to start prioritizing developments that actually reflect the city's needs. That means building more family-sized units, more affordable rentals, and integrating affordable housing into new projects. And maybe, just maybe, we need some smart regulation to make sure we're not just building for the sake of building. So what do you think? Is it time for developers to rethink their approach? Should there be more accountability for the type of supply that's being built? I mean, drop a comment below, and if you're looking to buy in Toronto, check out my other videos for tips on where you can still find value in this city and actually find some developments that were actually built with families in mind. So that's it. Until next time, and remember to keep your eye on the real estate that's actually worth watching.